The sun dipped behind the vast hills of Ikwetu Kingdom, casting golden hues over the thatched rooftops and the bustling market square. The villagers moved about, trading goods, laughter, and whispers of an impending war. In the heart of the kingdom, in the grand palace of Oba Adegu, sat Ajoke, the daughter of the most powerful warrior in Ikwetu. She was a vision of beauty. Her dark skin shimmered in the evening light. Her eyes held the depths of the great river Oshun, and her presence alone commanded admiration. But beneath her regal grace, Ajoke harbored a secret, a love forbidden by the gods and dangerous for the kingdom. Her heart belonged to Adiola, a skilled hunter from a humble background, a man who knew the language of the forest better than the politics of the palace. Every night, under the cover of darkness, Ajoke would slip away from the palace to meet Adiola by the old silk cotton tree. They dreamed of a future together, one where love was stronger than birthright. But fate had other plans. War drums echoed through the land. The neighboring kingdom of Okeila had declared war on Ikpetu, and the only way to prevent bloodshed was through a marriage alliance. Oba Adegun summoned Ajoke to the palace chambers, his face stern, his decision final. You will marry Balogun Ogunshin, the mightiest warrior of our land, the king declared. His strength will protect our people, and our enemies would think twice before striking. Ajoke's heart shattered. She knew of Balogun Ogunshin. The man was fierce, undefeated, but cold as the Amatan winds. He was twice her age, a man of war, not love. She pleaded, but the king would not waver. That night, Ajoke fled to the silk cotton tree, tears streaming down her face. Adiola was already there, waiting, sensing her distress. They have chosen a husband for me, she whispered. Adiola clenched his fists. Then we must leave, Ajoke. We can escape to the land beyond the river, start anew. But before Ajoke could respond, a rustle in the bushes froze them both. Shadows moved in the dark, and suddenly, torches illuminated the night. Balogun Ogunshin himself emerged, his warriors behind him. Ajoke gasped. Someone had betrayed them. Foolish girl, Balogun Ogunshin sneered. Oh, you thought your secret would stay hidden forever. He turned to Adiola, his eyes filled with fury. And you, a mere hunter, daring to love what belongs to me? He raised a sword, and in that moment, the fate of Ajoke, the lover, and the warrior was sealed. The night air grew thick with tension as Balogun Ogunshin's warriors surrounded Ajoke and Adiola. The flickering torchlight cast eerie shadows on their faces, their eyes burning with a mix of anger and triumph. Someone had led them here, someone had betrayed them. Ajoke's heart pounded. Her mind raced. Who? Who had sold them out? Balogun Ogunshin's lips curled into a smirk as he tightened his grip on the sword. A hunter daring to steal from a warrior? You must have lost your mind, boy. Adiola did not cower. His body was tense, his muscles ready, though he had no sword. He had his hunting knife, small but deadly in the skilled hands. He took a step forward, shielding Ajoke behind him. Ajoke is not an object to be owned, he said firmly. She is not yours. The warriors behind Balogun Ogunshin chuckled, mocking him. Bold words for a man outnumbered. Balogun sneered. He raised his hand. Seize him! Two warriors lunged at Adiola, but they underestimated him. With a swift movement, he ducked low, slashing one warrior's arm with his knife before kicking the other into the bushes. Another warrior charged, but Adeola grabbed a handful of dirt, throwing it into his eyes before twisting his arm and flipping him to the ground. Ajoke watched in awe. She had always known Adeola was strong, but never had she seen him fight like this. His movements were precise, fluid, like a panther defending its territory. But there were too many of them. For every warrior he struck down, two more replaced them. Ajoke knew what she had to do. She grabbed a fallen warrior's spear and thrust it forward, blocking an attack aimed at Adeola. Her body trembled, but she stood firm. She would fight for her love. Balogun Ogushin watched with growing irritation. Enough of this foolishness! His voice boomed through the night. He stepped forward, swinging his mighty sword straight at Adeola. Adeola barely dodged in time. The force of the swing sliced through the bark of the silk cotton tree behind him. He rolled to the side, panting. Balogun was a warrior, strong, experienced, ruthless. Adeola could not win in sheer strength alone. Ajoke screamed as Balogun raised his sword for a killing blow. At that moment, a voice rang through the night. "Stop!" Everyone froze. From the darkness emerged a figure cloaked in a flowing robe. The torches flickered against the deep lines on his face. Baba Ifayemi, the kingdom's oldest and most revered diviner. His presence commanded instant silence. Even Balogun Ogushin lowered his sword slightly. "The gods have spoken," Baba Ifayemi declared, his voice like the rumble of distant thunder. He stepped forward, his piercing eyes falling on Ajoke, then on Adeola. Ajoke's breath caught. She had always respected Baba Ifayemi, but she had never feared him until now. "The gods have revealed a truth," he continued, his voice layered with something unspoken. He turned to the king's warriors. "Take them to the palace." Ajoke and Adeola exchanged glances, their fate now bound to the will of the gods. But what truth had the gods revealed, and who had betrayed them? The journey back to the palace was silent, the only sounds being the rustling leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Ajoke and Adeola walked side by side, their hands bound in thick ropes, guarded by Balogun Ogushin and his warriors. Ahead of them, Baba Ifayemi strode with purpose, his staff tapping against the earth. His mind shrouded in mysteries only he understood. By the time they arrived at the palace, a crowd had gathered. Whispers spread like wildfire. The princess had been caught with a commoner. The mighty Balogun had been challenged. The gods had spoken. In the great hall, Oba Adegun sat on his high throne, his expression unreadable. The queen sat beside him, her face tight with worry. To the right stood Balogun Ogushin, his eyes burning with silent rage. Baba Ifayemi stepped forward. He raised his staff and they all fell into silence. "The gods have spoken," he began. His gaze swept over the crowd, pausing on Ajoke and Adeola. "A betrayal has been uncovered, but not the one you think." Murmurs erupted. Ajoke felt her heart pound. What did he mean? Baba Ifayemi turned to the king. "Your Majesty, Ajoke and Adeola were led into a trap. Someone revealed their secrets to Balogun Ogushin, and that someone is within this hall." Gasps filled the room. All eyes darted around, searching for the traitor. The old diviner took a slow step forward, then another. His eyes locked onto a figure standing among the guards. Ajoke's personal maid, Durotimi. Ajoke's breath caught. Durotimi? Tears welled in her eyes as she stared at the woman who had been like a sister to her. "Why?" she whispered. Durotimi trembled, but she lifted her chin. "Because I loved him first," she spat, her voice laced with jealousy. Before the palace, Adeola was mine. Her voice cracked. But he never saw me, he only saw you. Ajoke felt her stomach twist. Adiola's face was unreadable, but his hands clenched into fists. The king exhaled sharply. You betrayed your princess out of jealousy? Baba Ifayemi nodded solemnly. The gods do not bless treachery. He turned to the guards. Take her away. Durotimi let out a scream as she was dragged from the hall. But Ajoke felt no victory, only sorrow. Silence hung heavily. Then Balogun Ogunshin cleared his throat, stepping forward. Now that the betrayer has been punished, let us return to the real matter. Ajoke is still my betrothed. Ajoke's heart clenched. She turned to her father. Baba, please, I do not love him. The king sighed. Love is not always the foundation of a strong kingdom. But before Ajoke could protest, Baba Ifayemi lifted his hand. No, your majesty, he said, his voice strong. The gods have decided otherwise. Balogun Ogunshin's face darkened. What? Baba Ifayemi raised his staff, his voice echoing with authority. Ajoke is not meant to marry Balogun Ogunshin, for his fate is already sealed. A sudden gust of wind swept through the hall. The flames of the torches flickered wildly. Balogun staggered back, as if an unseen force had struck him. His breath grew heavily. His face paled. The all watched in horror as the once mighty warrior fell to his knees, clenching his chest. The gods do not bless a man whose hands are stained with innocent blood, Baba Ifayemi said grimly. Balogun Ogunshin gasped, as if he understood too late. Then with one final breath, he collapsed, lifeless. A stunned silence filled the hall. Then the king rose from his throne. His eyes met Ajoke's, and for the first time, they softened. The gods have spoken, he murmured. Ajoke, you are free to choose your own fate. Ajoke turned to Adiola. Tears filled her eyes, but this time they were of joy. She reached for his hand and he took it. The people erupted in cheers. Ajoke had defied tradition, faced betrayal, and stood against fate itself. But in the end, love had won. And as the drums of Ikwetu Kingdom thundered in celebration, the stars above bore witness to a love that was truly written in the heavens. Kindly subscribe for more interesting and educating stories. Thank you so much for watching. See you in our next story.